Welcome to Policy on Demand's Week in Review. I'm Rohit Kumar. I think the most notable thing that happened this past week, at least to my eyes, was the tax policy subcommittee hearing in the Ways and Means Committee, where the notional topic was, how the international reforms in OB3 improve the competitiveness of the U.S. economy and U.S. headquartered multinationals, but with a heavy dose of members signaling they're paying very close attention to these side-by-side negotiations. Chairman Smith making an appearance at the hearing, going so far as to say that he expected to see details this week as to sort of where we are headed, direction of travel, and then the perhaps not unsurprising threats that if an agreement is not landed to the satisfaction of House and Senate Republicans, or really House Republicans for purposes of the hearing, that they would consider reintroducing the so-called Section 899 revenge tax, retaliatory tax, whatever you want to call it. But the thing that caused the G7 to reach an agreement in June of this year to head off the inclusion of 899 in OB3. So definitely more to come there in the few remaining weeks before the end of the calendar year. I would say the dominant theme of the conversations this week I had with clients, and I was traveling all over the country speaking to folks, was very much what is going to happen the rest of this year in terms of the ACA premium tax credits. Is there going to be an agreement? Will that yield a larger tax bill with other expiring provisions? And I will tell you, with each passing day that no agreement is reached, and more importantly, with each passing day that the president himself does not jump in with both feet into the conversation, I think the odds of getting an agreement start to diminish. And frankly, I think at this point, the president would have to get in probably middle of next week at the latest, and really get in forcefully if there were to be any hope of reaching an agreement that could be signed into law before the end of the calendar year. So it seems to me increasingly unlikely that we're going to stick the landing on an ACA premium tax credit agreement. And if we don't get that, then we're certainly not getting any broader tax legislation for the rest of this calendar year. As we look ahead to next week and the weeks that follow, I would say pay attention to the premium tax credit debate. Let's see if anything materializes there. And then the other thing to be paying attention to is, can they get some agreement on further appropriations measures? We are barreling towards that January 30th continuing resolution deadline. The goal and the hope at the time at which that agreement was reached was to try to pass more individual bills so that when we get to January 30th, we don't have the entirety of the government potentially at risk of shutting down. It will not be the entirety of the government because some bills have been enacted, but just a handful. So pay attention to how much more work they can do, how much friction there is in the appropriations process. While I'm not expecting another shutdown on January 30th, if the friction levels continue to increase, we may have to revisit that assumption. So those are my thoughts for the moment. Stay tuned for more and take care.